welcome to CDW Tech Talks. This is the pod where we dig into the technology trends and practical insights shaping how organizations use tech to solve real-world business problems. I'm your host for today, Brian Matthews, the head of services strategy and development for Modern Workspace, cloud, and AI at CDW. Each episode, we break down what's happening in the world of business and IT and show you how to put it into practice in your organization right away. So stick around till the end of the episode, where we will be giving a tech tip of the week, a simple, actionable takeaway you can adopt today. So for today, I am very, very excited to introduce Curtiss Hoeft to the pod. Curtiss, welcome. Why don't you tell the audience a little bit about yourself?
Thanks, Brian. Good morning, all. My name is Curtiss Hoeft. I have been in the tech space for the last 20 years or so in voice and collaboration, specializing in contact center. I've been with CDW a short time now, but came on board to help evangelize the contact center space here in Canada, and looking forward to having a good chat today.
So awesome, Curtiss. I am super excited. This area of our business at CDW and this technology category as a whole is just really transforming. It's not unique. There's lots of transformation. There's lots of innovation, but really excited to kind of lean into your expertise, your experience, your background, really to talk about, where we've been from a contact center perspective, obviously some of the legacy technology, what does a modern contact center solution look like in 2026? And then obviously how are we solving real world challenges as we talked about. So, let's dive in, Curtiss. Like I mentioned, I'm super excited, so no reason to wait. Let's get going. Does that sound like a plan?
Sounds great. Let's go.
All right, so I said let's kind of zoom back. Let's look at some of the legacy solutions. As you've been in this space for as long as you've been, talk to us about maybe some of the shortcomings of the technology and the innovation that we've been leveraging, for the last 5-10 years. And what are some of the challenges and limitations of that technology that you're seeing most frequently with customers during your conversations?
Yeah, well, I kind of want to start. If we roll back the clock a little bit and we look at the foundations of contact center, it was, designed to help organizations reach out to more people expeditiously. So at the time we were using legacy systems and the stacks were kind of separate. So everything having to do with voice and everything having to do with business logic existed in separate spheres and was managed by separate groups altogether. So one of the things that ended up being created was this thing called CTI. It tied those two pieces together. It kind of married them so that the phone system was able to reach out and do pops with business information, and that integration was revolutionary at the time. It was amazing, pretty secure, but there were limitations, and the limitations were that, number one, there was version specific. So, for example, your version of Java had to be just so. And if for whatever reason you had a policy that pushed out a version of Java to the end user's PC, well, that would mess with that TAPI client. Same thing with updates to the PBX or update to the contact center. If you were to update any of those pieces of the puzzle individually and forget to update the other side, well, now you're in a conundrum because you're either not going to get agent pop-ups, you're not going to have phone control. Effectively, your contact center comes screeching to a halt because you're trying to keep up and do the good thing and be up to date with those security patches. So CTI was one of those things that we love to hate because while we needed it, it was an atrocity. Let's just call it like it was, Brian. It was an atrocity. It was so hard to keep up, and people struggle with it to this day. So one of those things that you were asking about is that CTI piece. And I would be amiss if I didn't mention that those legacy systems required a whole bunch of hardware, and again, standalone pieces of hardware for standalone PBX, for standalone contact center, eventually moving into virtualization with VMs. But again, you've got these pieces of hardware that you have to maintain. You have these VMware versions that you need to maintain. And it becomes a logistical headache to try to keep on top of all of those pieces of the puzzle. And really, as a telecom person, is it really my job to worry about VMware? Is it really my job to worry about server? Is it really my job to worry about network? It becomes that, right? And it becomes this beast that you're trying to tame. And I think that's kind of where these modern contact center platforms come into place. We're moving away from servers. We're moving even away from VMs into either pure cloud hosted, where a lot of folks are going right now, or some sort of hybrid where you do still want to keep a VM, or you do a VM in the cloud like AWS.
So Curtis, my anxiety is elevating, right? My stress on what was a nice morning so far is elevating, right? You've painted this picture of the limitations, obviously, the management, the complexity, the cost to procure all the hardware, to maintain all the hardware. Follow-up question: where are we today, right? Where is the technology? Talk to us about some of the innovation. I'm certain, and I'm leading the witness here, but I'm certain that there are new ways of thinking, new innovation, specifically to solve some of those challenges. So let's talk about current state technology and some of the modern innovation happening.
Sure. Let's start with that beast that I started with, that TAPI, that CTI integration. We've moved from that fixed proprietary connection to something that's far more open. Everything's API based now. You can pick and choose your contact center platform, and you know that on the back end there's going to be a friendly API that uses a friendly what am I looking for here? It uses the same methods to communicate across these several platforms. So I can work with I'm sorry, I'm name dropping here. I can work with a Genesis. I can work with a WebEx contact center. I can work with an AWS. I can work with a Five9. And each and every one of them are going to use the same type of APIs so that I can communicate and I can build or not build connectors into those contact center platforms. So that's number one. Number two is server. So you can choose, again, to push everything into that cloud. You can choose to leverage VMs in the cloud. You can choose to leverage VMs on premises if you choose still. It gives you that flexibility. It gives you the ability to say, you know what, I don't want to manage a data center anymore. I don't want to have to deal with all of that compute unless we're dealing with AI. But that's another story altogether, and we can go into that another time. But you have the ability to say, I can know my limits as an individual, as an IT owner, as a business owner. I can say, I'm not ready or not willing to operate a full data center. I just want contact center. So I can say, let's go ahead and spin something up in the cloud. I'm just going to pay for per user basis versus a hardware and software license. I'm just paying per user. So all of those transactions, all of the information that's going in and out, I'm paying a fixed price per user per month. And that's it. So I don't need to worry about, hey, what's my operating cost going to be? Hey, what's my utility cost going to be? Or my cooling cost? I don't have to worry about those things. It's fixed price per user. And most companies are going to put you in a 36-month contract. You may have to worry about those increases at the end. They're generally minimal. What I've seen year over year is that it sits somewhere around that 5% mark. So it's not something that's crazy where you're going to have to stress out about, oh my gosh, at the end of this contract, we're going to have a renewal and it's going to be terrible. It really isn't. And it simplifies that management because now I can say, hey, I have a standard contact center user and I have a supervisor. They use different licenses for different things. And if I need more of one or the other, I have the flexibility to hop in real time and change it. And so I can add more supervisors. I can remove supervisors if I have too many. It gives me the ability to have analytics. So with platforms, you have the ability to develop custom reporting, to leverage, again, that API gives you access into that database so you can pull reports however you like them. If you don't like what's canned, build your own. If you want to work with partners, well, that opens up the ecosystem. So now when I go into, let's say, WebEx, I have the ability to pick and choose from my PSTN providers on the back end. I have the ability to pick and choose all of these plugins from the marketplace and say, hey, I want this and this and this plugged into my contact center, and it's no big deal. It doesn't take a whole lot of effort. It doesn't take a whole lot of stress. It doesn't have to keep me up at night. I know what's available, and I know that if it's not available, I can go ahead and bring in a team that can develop off of it.
So you've done your job. My anxiety has come down, right? Your smooth, silky voice has convinced me that these challenges that my team and I have dealt with in the past have solutions for them. So thank you for walking through that, Curtiss. Maybe let's dig into maybe any specific use cases that you've seen that are ultra relevant, or any specific customer examples that you've seen of organizations leveraging this technology, solving real world business challenges, and driving real impact within the walls of their organization.
Sure. I won't drop any names just because of NDA, but
Absolutely.
I worked with a manufacturing company in the past. They were using a Cisco on-premises contact center platform. It was massive. They had multiple clusters for both their PBX and their contact center distributed around the world because they were doing a follow the sun model for support of their product. What we did was we came in, we assessed and said, look, you've got all of these contact center platforms that are doing all of these things. We looked at their IVRs, we looked at their scripting, we looked at what they were doing with their business applications, and let them know, number one, they were majorly overly subscribed. They had 5 platforms that they were paying for when realistically they needed 1. That one being in the cloud. So we devised a plan where we took all of the IVR data from all of those 5 platforms, threw it all into a single cloud platform, redid those scripts, kind of worked on some of the database information that they needed. So they moved from again, on-premises database to a cloud-based database so that we were able to pull those business analytics. We were able to do dips into their CRM. So it went from, a customer calling in, depending on what time of day they're reaching a different cluster, right? Which has different information attached to it, to a single unified customer experience. The customer calls in, based on their phone number, we do a pop into their CRM. We say, hey, this customer is calling, we recognize the ANI information. This customer is who we think it is. We pop that information, we pull up the information about the last few times they've called, what they've called about, so that customer was able to greet, or that client was able to greet their customer and say, hey, Mr. Customer, how are you? Last time you called, you were calling about this. Did that go well? Is that something that you still need help with? What can we do for you? It took this completely divested infrastructure, merged it into a singular platform, and enabled them to deliver a customer experience that was personal. It's revolutionary what's happening right now. And honestly, Brian, I struggle to keep up with it myself just because it moves so fast right now. And especially with AI, all of the little tweaks that are coming out that really just empower agents to perform better. It empowers businesses to perform better. Things like virtual agent were leveraged on this platform. So if it was night and we wanted to say, or daytime even, and we wanted to go and have a team meeting, we could go ahead and put those virtual agents in the queue and say, hey, take the calls for us for a bit so that we can go have a meeting. Those virtual agents were able to do the same thing. They were able to dip into the CRMs. They were able to pull up that same customer data. Hey, Mr. Customer, you were calling about these things. Do you need help with those, or do you need help with something else? Oh, you need help with something else. What is it that you need help with? It would take a transcript of all of the pieces of information that customer needed. Great. Would you like to use the self-care system, or do you want to talk to an actual agent? If they wanted to talk to an agent, we slotted them for a callback. We let them know it was a team meeting going on. And then as soon as that meeting was over, we kicked all those calls into those virtual hold calls into the queue. And the agents were able to call those customers back and continue to deliver that personal experience to the end customer.
So I absolutely love that because, the first bit of our conversation was talking about the technology, the innovation, right? My key takeaways there, it's open, it's cloud-based, it's simplified. But at the end of the day, the technology, although a very important piece, it's all there to deliver that experience, right? And having an agent that's primed with all the information that they need to have an effective call and support a client so that they feel that they're getting world-class customer service and they have a fantastic experience. I mean, what a perfect example. So Curtiss, I think you hit the nail on the head there. Great job.
And Brian, even if those agents aren't up to speed just yet, there's the other side of the AI token that we've implemented, which is the agent assist. So again, taking the transcript of what a customer says, they're calling about these things, the agent assist can pop up and say, hey, agent, this customer might need help with these things. And as the customer is talking in real time, it's offering suggestions.
I almost asked you an AI follow-up question earlier because there's no 2026 technology podcast without AI, but you got there without me prompting you. So, Curtiss, we're coming to the end of our time here. I've loved our conversation. Thank you so much for sharing your experience, your expertise, and your thought leadership with the audience. Maybe to wrap up, any final thoughts, and what's your tech tip of the week for the audience?
I would say the tech tip is to stay curious. Everything that's moving and everything that's happening right now is going in one very specific direction. And yes, it is AI. And I would be amiss if I didn't say, let's look at AI. But I would honestly say that curiosity about that particular technology really does take away and demystify some of it and make it so that you can actually say, I want to do this with AI rather than I just want AI. It kind of helps you to pinpoint where it can help your business to be more successful.
What a great place to end it. Curtiss, thank you for joining the pod. I hope you have a fantastic day, and thanks to all our listeners for another episode of the CDW Tech Talks podcast. Have a great day, Curtiss.
Thanks for having me, Brian. Take care.